Alright, so we have to talk a little bit more about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and why that game needs to be much bigger and better than the previous Metroid games. So this is also going to be a video response to Rob of Rule of Two Review. He's a huge Metroid fan. That's his favorite franchise, at least when it comes to Nintendo. And he's basically so enthusiastic for this game, but it seems like not everyone is sharing his enthusiasm for this game. Unless you go to his, YouTube channel, and you'll see a bunch of people just agreeing with him on this video that he just dropped, where he's basically saying that Metroid Prime 4 does not have to. It just has to be another Metroid game. It just has to be another Metroid Prime game. It doesn't have to do anything big and anything epic. No, it just needs to look better but play the same. And that is literally what he said. He said it just needs to look better and play the same, which to me that sounds like him saying, I only care about graphics, I only care about pretty impressive visuals, and could care less about gameplay, could care less about the content inside of the video game. I just want it to look pretty so I can ooh and awe at how beautiful it is and just drool over the graphics. Sorry, but I'm not interested in just drooling over the graphics of some video game that is boring to play. Okay? The game has to be fun, it has to appeal to a broader audience, and some of the arguments he makes are just ridiculous in my opinion, because one of them is the fact he brings up the fact that this is a sequel, guys. This is not a reboot, this is a sequel. And some people in the comment section just parrot this and repeat this, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, first of all, nobody was asking for this to be a reboot. Nobody was expecting this to be a reboot. We all know that this is a sequel. It says it in the name, Metroid Prime 4. We know it's going to be a sequel. Okay? Second, since when are sequels just exactly the same like the previous game? And he brings up like games like Uncharted and Halo, saying yeah, they weren't like different or anything. I was like, okay, it's funny how you bring up those two games. Dude, there've always been games where the sequel was far bigger and better. Tears of the Kingdom being a perfect example. Okay? You had Breath of the Wild, which was already a big, extraordinary game. Then you get Tears of the Kingdom, and Tears of the Kingdom, it had way more. It had the underworld that you could go down into. They called it the depths or whatever, and you had some scary monsters down there. You had to throw these mushrooms or whatever that would just gloom up and light up a certain area. Then you would have these annoying frog critters that would try to eat them. You had much more, okay? You had much more. Then, of course, you had those islands up in the sky. There weren't that many of them, but there were a significant amount of those. So you had the ability to create new weapons, merge weapons, create all kinds of weird stuff, create jets, create tanks even. I think you could create all kinds of cool and sick stuff in that. So yeah, that is another perfect example of a sequel, or that's a perfect example of a sequel, being bigger and better than the previous game. And that's not the only one. There's many. Oh, here's another perfect example. How about Metroid Dread? You remember that game? You remember Metroid Dread and how epic that was when we first saw the trailer? And that one trailer alone that we saw, the very first trailer they ever shown of that, was far better and more epic than everything we have seen for Metroid Prime 4 so far. And that game, hey, that was a sequel too. That was Metroid 5. That was a sequel to the other previous side-scrolling 2D Metroid games. And you know what? It did way more than all those other games. Way more. Okay, it had way more power-ups we never seen before, abilities, things of that nature. The cutscenes were awesome. You had the really cool cutscenes, and I think it is literally the best 2D Metroid game. And so I'm just wondering, like, why do you have this weird idea that a sequel, especially one that we've been waiting 18 years for, okay? Retro Studios, the so-called most talented studio that Nintendo has, is working on this game. They've been working on it for the past 10 years, and you're gonna say that, well, the game is just a sequel, therefore it doesn't have to do anything bigger and better than Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3. I don't understand why you would say that. Well, I think I do understand why, and I think it's because you desperately want this game to do well. You want it to be a success. But I think you're starting to see that people don't share your enthusiasm for it, and quite honestly, you've probably seen so much footage from the treehouse, from the trailers and whatnot. You're probably realizing that this game isn't going to do anything great. It's not going to do anything beyond the other games, and so I think you're kind of just trying to maybe not damage control, but you're trying to condition people and convince everybody that, oh, it's just going to be another Metroid game, and that's all it was ever supposed to be. That's all the intent was. Well, that sucks, and even though I might still get the game, that's going to really kill my hype, and it's going to kill the buzz for a lot of people, and don't expect it to sell more than 10 million or even close to 10 million if it's just going to be that. If it's just going to be another Metroid Prime game, don't expect it to have the same success that Breath of the Wild has, because Nintendo has already set that that bar really high. So gamers are naturally going to expect these games to be big and epic. And if they're not, then they don't really deserve to do that well. Now, do they? Especially when this was a game that's been in the making for the past 10 years. So that was one of his arguments. It's a sequel. Very bad argument. I don't see how that matters whatsoever. So it's a sequel. He also said that we shouldn't want it to be like a Breath of the Wild. We shouldn't want it to be that way. Now, I don't know if he's meaning that he doesn't want it to be an open world game. Again, no one is really wanting it to be like an open world game. Okay? But it could be like it's like a Breath of the Wild in the sense that it's just there's way more better ways to advance in the game, to make progress. Okay? So here's the thing. Oh, by the way, again, regarding going back to the argument about it being a sequel or whatever, Metroid Prime 2 was a lot different than Metroid Prime 1. In a lot of ways it was worse because they got rid of everything that made Metroid Prime great in the second game. But it had that thing where you're going from the shadow realm to the normal reality or whatever. And then the third game, guess what? That was much different from the first two, because you were now able to fly in the spaceship to other planets. I mean, of course, you're not actually taking control of the spaceship, but you could travel from planet to planet. So it's not like they were all just exactly the same. So here would be a really good idea to make this game really big and epic. Now, Rob himself was actually entertaining the idea of there being time travel in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. He made a whole video talking about the Beyond, right? And so it's very weird to me how right now he's basically saying Metroid Prime 4, it doesn't have to do anything that goes beyond Metroid Prime, even though it's literally called Metroid Prime 4. Very weird how he says that, but here's the thing. Even he himself, many months ago, when that title was revealed, he was hinting at the idea of the game potentially having time travel. Yeah, imagine we could time travel and all this. You're traveling through time. That sounds like a very cool idea. That would be really cool. That would be cool if you're time traveling back to Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 1. Perhaps you're gonna, cross paths with Silux over there, because apparently he had visited those areas shortly after Samus did, or before she did. Whatever the story's going to be there. You know what would also be cool? What if you can also play as Silux and see his perspective. You can play as him during all of the events that happen in Prime 1 and 2. I think that would be awesome as well. That would be a great way to change things up. How about that giant mech that we saw, that they showed us, that Samus looked right at? I mean, they really wanted us to notice that giant mech with the arm cannon just blasting down pirate ships. What if we can actually start, using those? We can, some point in the game, we're able to, get one, and we have to use it for certain areas. There's certain regions that are just so big and monsters are so ginormous, we have to use that in order to get into those areas. Otherwise, it'll be next to impossible. That would be another cool way to make it bigger and better than every previous Metroid game coming before it. Don't you think? So I think that would be good, like time travel, going from planet to planet. Hopefully there's multiple different regions, like a lava area, a snow area. One of the things that's been irritating me with the trailers lately, though, is like it's only shown us this one area, one environment they've only shown us. In the last Direct, they showed us, I think it was called Vuros, I believe, and it was like just a tropical sci-fi planet. And I'm just thinking, man, they are doing such a lame job with the marketing. They're making this game just look so small and so boring. Here's one environment, you guys. Check out this one environment. Here are the enemies. The enemies are dumb and lame as always. You can just lock on to them, shoot them, and they will just stand there like idiots. And they'll probably fire back at you a couple times before doing a side flip or whatever. That's another thing. The enemies are an absolute joke. It just angers me how they just make the enemies so easy to kill. That's going to make the game not very fun. They should have made the enemies more like the ones from Doom Eternal. Just hordes of pirates or monsters coming at you, and you just destroy them, and then you proceed to to travel and to explore and to find new abilities. We just want there to be more. We want things to be added to the game. Okay, they do need to revolutionize Metroid Prime. It should not just be another Metroid game, and it's going to piss me off if that's all it is. And it really irritates me how Rob just thinks, well, it just needs to look better, that's all. Like, that's all you care about is just graphics. You don't care about gameplay. You don't care about how much content is in the video game. There's a reason games like Super Smash Bros. Sell very well. There's a reason why games like Mario Kart sell very well. There's a reason why Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom sold extremely well. Because of the content, because of the gameplay, because of the amount of things you can do, okay? The replayability is through the roof with those games, okay? Replay value is very high. And that is what Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, okay? Don't forget, it's called Beyond, and it seemed like in this video, Rob was intentionally calling it Metroid Prime 4 and was leaving out the Beyond part. It almost seemed like he was doing that intentionally because, if you're calling it Beyond, then we're going to question, okay, then if this is just going to be another Metroid Prime game, what is the Beyond all about? What is it going to do that goes beyond what Metroid Prime has always done? Just the graphics? That would be stupid. That would be complete horseshit. It has to do a lot more than that. And one thing I've noticed about Rob, and this is something that's really irritating me with people who are Nintendo fans, apparently, who supposedly are Nintendo fans, and they just care about good games, is that whenever they make a big deal about graphics, more so than gameplay and the content that is in the video game, and I've noticed that with Rob that he says he likes Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but boy, he really seems to have a problem with the game's art style. He really seems to be very picky with the cel-shaded, cartoon-like art style that those games have. And I really don't get why. I don't get why you want the game to look like every other third-party game out there where it's just photorealistic looking, I don't want that for Zelda. I want Zelda to have its own look and to stand out. And it's a beautiful art style, so I don't get what your problem is with that, Rob. Anyways, yeah, he apparently he has an issue with that, and he mentioned that in his review of the Direct when they reviewed the Age of Imprisonment Hyrule Warriors game. And he was like, hopefully this is the end of it. Hopefully this is the end of that cel-shaded cartoon art style. And it's like, what the hell is your deal with the art style? I understand you wanting a new Zelda that is completely different, whatever. I don't get why you have something against its art style. And I'm really starting to think that you just care about beautiful, ultra-realistic, photorealistic graphics over gameplay. So that's one thing that's been kind of ticking me off. So he seems to be excited about the game's graphics being pretty. He even said it just needs to look better but play the same. Again, I think that's horseshit. I think that is complete horseshit. It's called Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, alright? So besides that reason, besides the fact that Breath of the Wild has set a new bar, besides the fact that the game has been in development for 10 years, lastly, the reason why we're expecting it to be really big and epic is because this is a Retro Studios game, and everyone keeps giving Retro Studios this praise about being the most talented studio by Nintendo. Now, I'm just going to have to be real with so many of you guys out there. I don't think that's the case at all. I think Retro Studios has been one of the biggest disappointments in Nintendo. They've been one of the biggest disappointments in the gaming industry as a whole. The last thing that they've done was remaster Metroid Prime. Like, come on, where are the new games? No, like, they can't just make any new IPs. We're not getting any variety from them whatsoever. They only seem to do single player experiences. That's another thing. Like, come on, people love multiplayer games like Super Smash Brothers, Splatoon, all those others. These guys only seem to make single player games that are fun to play just once. Just once. And that's it. And so I don't understand why people are just calling them the most talented studio just because they're good at making games look visually impressive. And I'm really getting sick of that. I'm like, you call yourself a Nintendo fan. Nintendo has always been about making fun video games, not caring too much about the graphics. Yet everybody seems to just, give Retro Studios all of this praise because their games look amazing. Look at this. I'm seeing comments like that till this day, regarding Metroid Prime 4. People are talking about its graphics. People are just look at how beautiful the graphics are. Like, I don't care. I don't care about that. And I'm sick and tired of people prioritizing graphics, especially when it comes to Nintendo. I just don't get that. It's so ignorant and stupid. Look, Breath of the Wild is graphically impressive as well. But you know what? It's also way more fun. It's way more fun than most of the Metroid Prime games. Mario Kart World, I am way more excited for that than I am for Metroid Prime 4 so far. Why? Because look at the content. Look at how big the world is. Get to drive everywhere. Multiplayer is gonna be very fun for that. All the characters you can play as. Then there's like dinosaurs roaming around. You're like driving inside of the water, just hovering over waves and whatnot. That is far more. That is the kind of stuff we should be seeing with a Metroid Prime 4. We should be seeing lots of content, lots of gameplay, fun gameplay. But that's not what they've been showing us. And the stuff that they have been showing us in regards to the gameplay has just been so weak and lame. They're showing off the psychic abilities. Here are the new psychic abilities. You can manipulate mechanisms and open doors. What a stupid, pointless ability. An ability to just open doors? And then the only like, I guess somewhat cool ability is the ability to control your projectiles. But you know what? That's a pointless and stupid ability anyways, because the enemies are so lame. They just stand there. They don't really pose much of a threat. You can kill them easily by just locking onto them with your arm cannon and just shooting them. and blasting them away because that's how lame they are. Because apparently Retro Studios, they just don't know how to make good enemies. They don't know how to make good NPCs or AI that can fight back. I mean, come on, make some really good AI that's gonna run around, come at you, charge at you, shoot at you, take cover, try to surround you. Nope, they just all stand in one spot together, ready for you to shoot them like they're just these dumb stormtroopers from Star Wars. So, yeah, the psychic ability that they showed off, super lame. Could care less about it. I mean, so far the abilities are just lame. I don't understand how... I mean, okay, let's forget about Breath of the Wild. Let's forget about how that game set a really high standard. What about Metroid Dread? Metroid Dread, in my opinion, that game set a pretty high bar when it comes to Metroid games. That game was amazing. That game was so fun. It's very impressive visually speaking. The story was great. The way you progress was pretty awesome. Okay? The level designs. Wow. Really, really beautiful level designs in my opinion. And the abilities, just the insane amount of abilities that you can unlock and use, and then they did a great job of making you feel like a badass the more abilities you unlocked and how cool most of those abilities were. So far, the abilities that I have seen with Metroid Prime 4, again, they're just so lame. It's this psychic ability, and the best thing you can do is control your projectile, but it doesn't really mean anything because the enemies suck. The enemies are so easy to kill. Why even waste time using that? Why even waste time with that ability? And of course, you're going to have to use that ability anyways because it's going to open doors for you and things of that nature. Super lame, super disappointing. The marketing team is doing the crap job so far. And so far, they're leading me to think that the game is just going to be very mediocre. It's going to be very lame. Now again, Rob himself was talking about the idea of time travel many months ago. Suddenly, he's changed his tune, and now it's like, it just needs to be another Metroid Prime game. That's all. Just needs to be Metroid Prime. Doesn't have to do anything crazy. Well, what was all that talk about time travel, Rob? Did you forget about that? Do you no longer think that is a possibility, and so now you're just trying to condition your fans and your subscribers to just accept mediocrity when it comes to this game? I don't know. I think it's ridiculous, but I do have hope that this will be a great game. I know the game is not close to releasing, so maybe they're saving all of the good stuff for a direct later on down the road after the Switch 2 already comes out. But here's the thing though, I wish they would promote it better, because then that would just help the Switch 2 sales. If they show how awesome this game is, that might help the Switch 2 sell even better, since it's more than likely people are going to pick this game up for the Switch 2 as opposed to the Switch 1. So yeah, that's I do have hope. I do think the game will be great. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that this will be a great game. This will be something epic, because again, they've been working on it for 10 years. Working on a game like this for 10 years, and it turning out to just be another Metroid Prime game, just another run-of-the-mill Metroid Prime game with pretty graphics, that's unacceptable. And you know what? As a Nintendo fan, I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to call that out, and I'm going to say, you know what? Retro Studios needs to pull their head out their ass, and they need to start making good games. They need to make great, fun video games, not just these mediocre single-player experiences that just have very impressive visuals. All right? Part of the reason why most games suck nowadays is because they focus so much on making the graphics look amazing that the gameplay itself ends up being just a joke. So, anyways, those are pretty much all of the things I wanted to respond to today in regards to Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And I would like you guys to let me know what you think. Do you think this game should be evolutionary, revolutionary? What do you think it needs to do that Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3 hadn't done? Do you think it should just be a combination of all of those games, where you have multiple regions like Metroid Prime? You also have a dark realm, a shadow realm like in Metroid Prime 2 that you can go to anytime you want. You don't have to, but you can go to it just to unlock more abilities and things of that nature. Like, just make it make it 100% optional, but also make it 100% beneficial if you do choose to. And then also, have the option of getting into Samus's spaceship and, flying all the way to another planet. Maybe this time they could have it to where you'll shoot down enemy pirates out there that are trying to attack you or stop you from getting to another planet. I think that would be really cool. And then, of course, would you like to see that addition of time travel, controlling that giant mech with the arm cannon on it, being able to play as Silux and see his point of view and see and play through his story, essentially? There's a lot of things they can do. Oh, and I think the last thing I forgot to mention is I really hope they have online multiplayer, some type of online multiplayer, player versus player versus environment. Come on, why would you not have a player versus environment for a Metroid game? That would be so awesome, to just have giant monsters on multiple planets that you and 3 other guys, or I don't know, 6 other guys have to go after, just killing hordes of monsters, like a horde mode. They really need to do, they just got to start doing this with Metroid. They need to appeal to a broader audience. So, what are you guys hoping this game's gonna have? If you're just hoping for it to be another run-of-the-mill Metroid game, then get lost. I don't want to hear what you have to say, because you don't really have to say much if that's all you want. If you just want it to be same old, then you don't have much to offer. But I am willing to hear your argument for why you would want that. I think it's a BS argument. I think it's just you being a loyal fanboy to the Metroid franchise. But regardless, just let me know your thoughts. What should Metroid Prime 4 Beyond have in it? Why do you think it's called Beyond? That's another thing I want you guys to tell me. Tell me why you think the word Beyond is in the title, especially if you think it's just going to be another Metroid Prime game. But if you don't, I'd like to hear why you think that word Beyond is in the title. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have. That was my response to Rob from Rule of Two Review. I hope this game is going to do great, and I still am giving them the benefit of the doubt that it will be epic and that they're just saving the best stuff for another direct that's going to be much closer to its release date. Anyways, that's all I got. See you guys later.